Dave, you probably noticed, I read this in the Tennessean a couple days ago, that Devin Futrell, this hotshot freshman they got that's been killing it in midweeks, but hadn't pitched in any in SEC.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt had announced this, but sources at the Tennessean report he's going to start Friday night. I was wondering what you think of a guy, no matter how good his stuff is. His first SEC game's Friday night here in front of what figures to be a rowdy, tanked up crowd. And
Well, I'm sure they're preparing him mentally for that. I mean, he's pitching for one of the top programs in the country. His numbers are great. What is he, like 8-1? And the game he lost, they got beat 1-0 last week. So, he can pitch. He's left-handed, and he's awfully talented. And I mean, who's to say? Who's to say what's going on that end? I mean, our job is just to try to prepare to play good baseball and take on what's in front of us.
Well, I guess they're going to announce him today, apparently, but all their rotation, I guess. But what do you guys know about him? I mean, what makes him so good?
Well, he throws strikes. I mean, you look at his strikeouts to walk. I think he walks maybe 5 or 6, 7 batters, and I don't know how many innings he's thrown, but I mean, when you got 9 decisions, that means he's pitching well into each game. I think last week against Louisville, I think he threw 4 or 5 innings. The games leading up to that, he was giving them more, and he really saved their bullpen, and they won a lot of midweek games. So, I mean, velocity and all that, 90 miles an hour, good off-speed stuff, and just comes at you. So that's about all we know, and then just watching video.
In their rotation, they lost 2 first-round draft picks, even though, Rocker didn't sign. But what do you think about their rotation? Now they've got another freshman, and then they've got, I guess, Holton, an older guy. The other freshman. Holton's a freshman.
I mean, and they've started Christian Little last week too, so they've got a lot of starting pitchers. They've got a lot of high draft choice. They have, they've got a good bullpen. They have a lot of velocity. I mean, they've got a lot of talent on that pitching staff. So, they just keep coming at you. You just gotta fight them.
What do you make of their lineup? And to have a guy like, I think, Bradfield that's got a bunch of stolen bases, what kind of pressure can he put on you?
Well, he's the best leadoff man in the country. Continues to just get better and better as far as base running and stealing. Hasn't been thrown out this year, 30-plus stolen bases. He can bunt. He can work a walk. He's also showing power this year. I think he's got 6 home runs, something like that. And he's just a really, really good player. And then he's a top-notch center fielder too. He can cover a lot of ground. So he can put a lot of pressure on your defense. I think that showed up in their game the other night against Indiana State when he hit a 3-hopper to the second baseman with 1 out in like the 11th inning or whatever inning they end up winning the game. And he booted it on turf, and it was just a ball that I think he rushed it a little bit watching it. And, immediately stole second. They threw the ball into center field. It ended up in center field, and then they got a base hit and won the game. And it's you gotta play the game right, and you got to have a clock in your head when he's up, that's for sure.
And also, I think after this past Saturday's game, you mentioned that Hagen's velocity was down a little bit. Is there any concern with that at all?
No, I think they got that worked out in his bullpen. He was just maybe getting a little bit – his mechanics weren't quite right, and I think they fixed it. Coach Hobbs was, very – I don't know how the word to use. He was just kind of excited about what he saw from Hagen's bullpen, and they made a few adjustments. So, yeah, it happens, though, and it doesn't matter if he's a freshman or a fifth-year senior. A lot of times when you get to this, point in the season, if you've thrown a lot of pitches, you're gonna have some of those days that you're down a couple miles an hour, and hopefully that will go away. We'll keep an eye on it.
And Connor didn't throw as many pitches as he usually does this past weekend. You feel like it maybe refreshed him a little bit going into this weekend?
Well, we talked about that in the dugout. I think he threw like 78 pitches or something along that line, and we thought, let's take him out. They've got a 5-run lead at the time, and we'll rest him a little bit and get him ready for this weekend. And fortunately for us, we had some guys come in and do a great job. We came back and won the game, and Connor got to save a few pitches.
Bradfield, like you say, he's 34, but as a team, they're 70-79. What kind of pressure does that put on your defense? And they lead the league in stolen bases and sack bunts, so it sounds like they play some small ball.
We've worked on it. We've worked on it. We know what their style is. They also have power too. They have a lot of talent, so they can beat you in a lot of ways offensively. They can get down the line, and they've got 4 or 5 guys that can steal a base, and they'll hit and run. They'll bunt. If it works, it can get you. If it doesn't, you can get some quick innings. So nothing's changed. That's they have a lot of good athletes.
Keegan batting .392, Jones .386, two guys in their top 4, I guess. Not a whole lot of teams have 2 guys hitting over .385. What do you think of those 2 guys? I guess
really good. One hits right, one hits left. They both have power. They hit back to back in the order. Jones got 6 hits the other night and hit a couple of them really, really hard. And he also he's a big kid, but he can run. He beat out an infield hit in a crucial time. And man, you got 2 guys in the middle of your lineup almost hitting 400. That's a weapon. You just hope that when those guys are up that you don't have too many on base or nobody on base.
Coach, it seems like Robert Moore hit the ball a little bit better last weekend than he has been. What have you seen from him this week, and you feel confident in him moving forward?
Yeah. I like the way he's swinging it. I see a little bit more confident hitter at practice in the games. I think he's, feeling a lot better about it. In his defense, even really the last couple of weeks, when he has hit the ball hard, it seemed like it went at somebody. And I've seen him kind of get frustrated. 2 weeks ago at home when he lined out and hit a hard ground ball right at somebody. And I think on Friday he hit a ball that no doubt would have been out of the park and would have given us a 2-1 lead. And it was caught at the fence because the wind was blowing in 25 miles an hour. But that's the way the game works. And but he got a big hit or 2 against Auburn, hit that 3-run homer to give us a big cushion. And I feel good about where he's at. And it's good to see that he's hung in there. He continues to work, and the batting average is a number that sometimes I wish we didn't have batting averages, but I guess I get it. I like that the fact that Robert's driven in like 39 runs somewhere in there, and he's still helping the team win.
Will Mcintyre did well last weekend. You plan on pitching him this weekend, and just how do you feel about him?
Yeah, I thought he did great last week. I thought he threw pretty well against Missouri State. Just made one mistake on a 2-0 pitch, and then, he pitched 3 innings. We could have thrown him 3 more, but we knew that we were going to need him on the weekend, and we wanted to save him for Sunday. And I think, he went through their lineup, which is one of the best lineups that we faced. He went through it. I think he threw maybe 11 or 12 hitters and did really well. So we feel real good about him, and I don't know what his role will be, but he pitched Friday. He would be he pitched last Sunday. He would be available tomorrow if we needed him. No midweek games, and all hands on deck now. Just you don't save anybody. You just try to win the one that's in front of you.
Dave, what's an injury update on Stovall? Would he be available? If so, do you plan to play him? And I know Lanzilli, now that might be facing more lefties. What do you think about him this weekend?
Yes, first Stovall, he looks like he's good to go. He swung the bat good yesterday, and I know Coach Thompson and him worked on a few things. Coach Warnes, they did a little extra and try to get him going, swinging the bat, with a little more authority. It looked good yesterday. Fielded well, threw well. That fingernail still kind of messed up, but he seems to be fine throwing. and hitting. You know, he looks like he can grip the bat with that middle finger on his right hand, so he can, you know, feel the bat a little better, have a little more power. And then as far as Lanzilli, I mean, he'll be in the lineup some this weekend.
And then I got some of these ones, the call-in ones you might say. I guess it's going to be Senior Day Saturday, and Matt was wanting to know about Isaac Bracken. Is he healthy, and maybe is there a role for him moving forward here late?
Yeah, he'll be with us. Excuse me. I don't know if he'll be out there pitching. You know, we have turned in a 27-man roster. We're definitely keeping him with us, and you know, I don't know. You know, that's a hard one to answer right now.
I mean, is he healthy? Or,
Yeah.
You know, okay. I know you got a lot of decisions you got to make, and then I guess, do you feel better about the offense? You know, last week you guys hit it pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the offense was good last week. You know, Friday came roaring back. Saturday, left some runners out there, had a chance to do some things, didn't happen. It was a little frustrating, but I still like our approach at the plate for the most part. And then, you know, Sunday it was up and down the lineup again, really good approach against a pitcher that had really done well his last few outings. And, you know, we got him out of the game before the third inning, and I think he threw 6 or 7 the previous couple of weekends in conference. So we laid off some borderline pitches and took good swings, even when we made outs. You know, the first inning we hit 3 balls on the nose and didn't have anything to show for it, and kind of felt like that we were locked in and we were seeing the ball real well. So, yeah, I feel good about where we're at offensively. We've had a good week of light workouts, honestly, because of finals. We have another practice coming up here in just a few minutes, and hopefully we'll play well.
Dave, usually a team that's got a 2-game lead in the SEC West with a couple weeks left is a really high RPI, locked to be a top 8 national seed. Y'all's RPI is in the 20s or so. Is there any concern with that, or is it just a matter of like, keep winning, it'll take care of itself?
Well, I mean, I can't do anything about it, so I'm not super concerned about it. I know we're going to play in a regional. If we play here, that's awesome. If we don't, we'll go play where they tell us to play. So at least I feel like we will, you know, if we keep, you know, doing what we've been doing. And I don't think we have to win every game or win the tournament. We played well in league. We've got a good amount of wins in league, which usually proves that you're going to get to a regional. But I told the team we still have a lot of work to do. I told them yesterday that, you know, this should be the fun time of the year. You're finished up with finals. You can really concentrate on just playing baseball. And you've won enough games to take a little bit of pressure off of everybody, but there's still a lot to play for. And it starts Friday night. And, you know, the RPI, it is what it is. You know, it's interesting. You know, there was a couple of RPI games that we didn't win. Probably Stanford was one of them. But, you know, some of the teams we've played, they haven't won enough games. You know, I mean, we thought Illinois State was going to have a really good year, and so did they, and it's just been okay. Now, you know, we've got a couple other teams we've played and beaten that are right around 500. If they could get over 500, that's going to push our RPI up. I mean, I watched Ole Miss win a game last night and against, you know, I guess was it Southern Mississippi or whoever it was, and you know, 15 minutes later, our RPI jumped up 2 points. So, you know, it is what it is. It's just like there's a lot of things connected there. We've beaten some good teams. The more they win, it helps us. But, I mean, at this time of the year, all you can do is just play the game in front of you and try to stay where you are or move up a little bit. If we win enough games, we'll move up some more. And I think our guys they're to the point where just as long as we're playing, we're good.
And Bob mentioned Senior Day coming up, and typically if you have seniors, they're not usually the caliber of guys you got this year that are seniors. I mean, Brady Slavens, Jalen Battles, Ramage, Vermillion. What's this year been like having so many old guys that are big-time contributors for you?
Well, they've all done a great job, and we appreciate them coming back. 2 of the guys you mentioned are really redshirt juniors. They could come back and play again if they want. So the 2 position players. You know, but it's that way all over the league. You know, I mentioned earlier, you know, earlier this week when I was asked, I mean, Auburn, I don't know if they had a 21-year-old on the field, 22, 21 on up, and Texas A&M had 5 transfers in their lineup, and they were extremely old. They had a sophomore first baseman that had a lot of experience, and maybe a sophomore pitcher or two. But I mean, there's a lot of that going on. It's an old league. It's Division I baseball is old this year. So, but having those guys around, a couple years, and then a couple of those guys 4 or 5 years, you kind of know what you're getting as a coach and some stability there. But I'm proud of those guys for hanging in there, and they're going to get their degrees. I just talked to Jalen yesterday during practice, and he's getting real close to getting a degree, and it's exciting for those guys to know that, when they started school, and a lot of kids, they're young, they're just thinking about playing baseball, and you just take care of your business in the classroom, and before you know it, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and those guys are there. And it's like I told Jalen, I said, you finish this thing no matter if you play in the big leagues or not, because it'll open a lot of doors for you, and it's something that you can be proud of, and you're going to pass it on to your kids.
Yeah, I guess you and Corbin came in the league the same year, played each other quite a bit, obviously in different divisions, so not every year. But how would you describe your all's relationship? What do you think about the competition you guys have had all these years?
Well, I think our relationship's good. I mean, we know how hard it is. We talk about it, at the convention, off to the side. We'll have a conversation and just talk about the league and things that have gone on, and or maybe we'll have a conversation or two when we have our coaches meeting in September, which hasn't been in person the last couple of years, but it is again this coming year. And because we've, like you said, we came in at the same time, just the talent level. But as far as I think there's a lot of respect between the two programs and the coaches and the coaching staffs. I mean, they work hard. We work hard. We're both hard to beat. Our teams show up pretty much every game, and there's a high expectation at both programs, and you can see it by the way the players play and act.
Talk about the RPI. I mean, there's no way you can predict Mississippi State's going to win the national title, and then this year they're struggling to make the tournament. Tennessee's been down. Now they're at number 1. I mean, is that just kind of they're just unpredictable things that impact that RPI?
Well, I think, the programs you mentioned, Mississippi State, you never know. I mean, they still have a really good team. They field the ball and they hit home runs. And they've lost a lot of close games. Bullpens let them down a little bit. They've lost games late. I mean, when you think back, we had them on the ropes for a sweep. We had the bases loaded and 1 out. We didn't score in the 9th. And then we had another opportunity maybe in the 10th or 11th. But that's happened to them. Florida winning their last weekend. All games were tied all the way to the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and then that fell apart. So they have a really good team. They're a dangerous team. If they were to get into a regional, or if they go win the SEC tournament, if they get in there, which I think they will, you don't want them in your regional. Same with Ole Miss. They're loaded. The league is so good. It's flip a coin sometimes. I mean, the unexpected is going to happen. It's baseball. Have a bad weekend. Ball doesn't bounce your way or whatever. But, Tennessee, you got a really experienced team. You got a superstar in center field and right field. Left fielder is really good. You got their former left fielders, now their starting catcher. Their second baseman who's tearing it up has been there 4 or 5 years waiting to get his shot, and he's tearing it up. You could go on and on. First baseman, he's a 6th-year guy. We had trouble getting him out last year, and he's having a great year, 15, 16 home runs. And then you go to the arms. It's amazing. They've done a good job. A couple of them are young. A couple of them are JC guys. Some of them been in the program. And they've even had some injuries there, and they just keep bringing out another guy. So they brought in some good players. They've developed a lot of guys. They know how to coach. They know how to win. They're good. So I guess how'd they get there? A little bit of everything, but they put together that roster and did a great job.
It's not your all's fault. You're not playing them. That's just the way the schedule falls. You're not playing Tennessee or Georgia. You're playing Missouri and Kentucky. But playing Vandy, that's going to help your RPI whatever happens.
Yeah. The schedule is what it is. Last year, we didn't play those guys. We played all the first-place teams, and we beat them all. So it's just the way it is, whoever they put in front of you, that's who you got to try to beat that weekend. Is the way I look at it. Missouri's a tough team. Kentucky, they're really good. Tennessee found that out last week. I mean, it's weekend to weekend, and if you start as a team or coaches, you start looking at your opponent by the number it says by where they're in the standings, you're going to get beat. I truly believe that.
Do you think there's some wiggle room with the committee where they can look at what you've done in the conference and say, you know what, your RPI doesn't really quite equate, but what you've done on the field is worthy of being in the top 8 or 9? It would seem like there should be some understanding because you're beating the teams that are on your SEC schedule.
I think they get it. If we hang on to the Western Division, then I think that they'll take that into consideration. If we come in second, it might push us back. That's whatever. But there's some teams with some really good RPIs. If we beat 2 out of 3 or maybe 3 out of 3, and they're in the top 20, top 15. On the road at Auburn, they're 4th. And had a chance to win them all. Had a chance to lose them all. I mean, it's just the way it works. So that's what I would guess. They look at everything, and they see that some of the teams that we played didn't have good years or didn't finish 500, but we took care of business. We just took care of what was in front of us. I mean, going forward, as far as scheduling, we're still going to play certain teams, but maybe we don't play them twice in a year. Then you got to find some people to come play in April here, or you have to go on the road between SEC games. It's a little tough. Most teams in our league, they don't travel too much in April, and so it is what it is. Next year we open up or second weekend, maybe first week, we open up in Arlington again. There's a couple good RPI games there we can knock down if we can win them. So it's year to year, but I feel like that, we handle ourselves in league that speaks volumes.
The Indy's 10-6 on the road. I think their last 2 road series they won 2 of 3 at Kentucky, 2 of 3 at Georgia. What do you think about them as a road team?
Well, they've done well. I think sometimes when you've got really good pitching, it doesn't matter where you play. You're going to have a chance to win every game. And I know they had a game that got away from them in Game 2 at Georgia after winning Game 1, and then they got after it, on Sunday, and it showed a lot about their team because I know they made some errors. They don't make very many errors, and the game got away from them, but they fought back and won. So obviously, once you've done it, you feel like you can do it again. That's probably the way they feel, and they probably looked at their schedule a few weeks ago, and they probably rallied the troops and said, "Hey, we're going to Georgia, we're going to Arkansas, and we finish with LSU. You guys ready?" I mean, that's what you do. You go play baseball.